where do you find is the best place to get feedback from your readers, and how do you go about doing that?
I think it's going to be different for anyone according to their strengths. I do have a presence on social media, but I have to be honest, that isn't the first place that I show up. I get a lot of questions in my comments on my blog posts. I will take those questions and I answer them all personally. I ask, do you understand this? Is there something else that I can help you with? I will take that information and I'll put it in the blog post, because I always figure if this person didn't know that, I didn't make it clear to everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pretty Focused podcast. You are in for a real treat today. Julie and I were just talking before I hit record. And, the name of her blog is Hostess at Heart. And as I am sitting here listening to her talk, listening to her share about her audience and how she picks content and who she's writing for, you can tell she embodies this. This is not just a URL. She's a hostess at heart. And so even Julie, even just sitting here, I just feel so I just feel such warmth just coming from you, just through the computer screen, and just how you just know your audience so well. And so we're going to dive into that. And she has been blogging. I'm not going to tell her story. I'm going to let her tell it. But she's been blogging for several years now. And she's really going to be coming to us and sharing with us a lot of lessons that she has learned over the last 11 years. So if you are new to blogging, or you are, halfway through, if you're in the middle of it, or you're starting out, I know that you're just going to be really encouraged from this episode today. So Julie, why don't you start by telling us how long you have been blogging and why?
I started blogging on April 1st, Fool's Day, 2014. And one of the reasons that I started is because my daughter had recently married and her husband asked her to make my chicken noodle soup. And so she calls and I said, well, you just throw this in a pot, you throw this together, you do. She goes, Mom, that don't help me. You need to write it down for me. So I started on a free website and just started writing recipes just for her, basically. And it just grew from there. I never intended for it to grow. And I really loved that people liked doing or wanting to learn what I was doing.
Yeah.
So it encouraged me to continue.
And I think that this is why you know your audience so well, is that it's close to home, right? You started writing with your daughter in mind, and with what you look for, because you're a food blogger, but you still go to food blogs, right? And so you
absolutely,
you're writing with her in mind. And this is something we've always hear about, finding your avatar and finding your ideal person, but your ideal person is just really close to home for you. And so that's been really easy for you to just be able to write to that person, and the recipes that you plan and how you communicate. And I think that's really what makes you a hostess at heart, is because you're really hosting people and you're meeting them where they're at on your blog. And I love it. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I actually loved cooking, and I came from a small rural town. And one of the things that I did for a fun activity was cooking. And I would run to my grandmother's and we would make cookies. And I just wanted to install my love of cooking and trying new things with other people.
Yeah.
Because, I still love cooking for friends and family and getting together. So I think that, if that's your interest, it's still needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's people who start blogging for passion projects, which is you, right? And you've turned it into a business. Probably didn't realize what was waiting for you
No,
right?
no, I never
Yeah.
expected it.
Yeah. And then there's people who start it for business purposes,
Mhm.
and so, but you have that passion and the business side of things. You know what I mean? Like you haven't lost that passion behind what it is that you do. And I
Right.
think that is probably continues to drive you, would you say?
I would say, I have been blogging for a long time. And of course, a lot of things happen, in every life in that amount of time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I still love it. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. And I'm still, when I'm writing, I'm thinking about, sitting with a girlfriend and we're making something together, or she's enjoying, something that I made, and I can see people, how special that is to people.
Yeah.
When you have somebody coming over and you've baked cookies for them, they're just kind of like, whoa,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I still love doing that.
Yeah. That's like the best feeling, right? Is whenever somebody's like, "Oh, you made cookies again," It just
Yeah.
like fills you with so much joy. I love that. And that's why I tell you guys, as you're listening, you can be like, I understand. She embodies this hostess at heart. This is not just a cute name. It's not just a URL. It's not just a logo. This is just really who you are as a person.
And I was given that advice early on.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I totally bought it. They also said, you want to niche down. And like we were talking, other people were saying, well, if you want to make a go at this, you've got to do this and this and this. And some of it made sense. Some of it I tried. Some of it failed. And other things I learned a lot of information from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, part of, the journey.
Yeah.
One of the earliest things that helped me was to find like-minded people that was doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I wasn't sure on maybe what was going on with analytics or what was popular or the, different courses I heard about, I had people in my community that we could discuss this. And that's been invaluable too. So it's not like I've been by myself and created my success myself. It truly does take a village to, maneuver all of this, especially with all of the changes.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
There are so many changes. Some of them make sense. Some just don't.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. But that's why you can't do life, and you absolutely cannot do business alone.
Absolutely.
You cannot do that alone.
Absolutely.
So I'm really glad you have found your people. Let's go back to the very beginning and speak to yourself as a brand new blogger. And what is some advice that you would give yourself then? Because I know people are dying to hear this.
I was in corporate America a long time before I started this. Mm-hmm. And I was a competitive person. I still am very competitive with myself mainly.
Yeah.
And so once I determined that this was something that I could possibly do, I was looking for the ways to make it an instant success. Mm-hmm. I was looking at people that started about the same time as me, but in my mind were succeeding a lot faster than I was. And so I was listening to maybe people saying, you have to buy this, or you have to take this class, or you need to know this to succeed. And I would tell myself that you don't always know what's going on. Trust yourself, find your community, and be patient. One thing I look back, and I'm always redoing things, and I go back to some of them posts that tasted good, but man, they were a nightmare when I wrote them up. because I write very differently now. And I just think about now exactly if I would have known then I didn't need to write 4 posts a week. I could find my audience and talk to them the way I have my daughter or my friends in my kitchen and listen to the questions that I was getting. And that's the information that I had to put in my posts. I did not have to cook as far as what was popular right now. There's been so many fads that have come and gone.
Yeah.
And I kind of know what's going to work with my audience. I'm always asking, for questions. And through those questions, it's kind of educated me to what I need to put in my posts.
Yeah.
The questions they're going to ask. And I've also learned that we all come from different areas. I was lucky to have a grandmother that, didn't waste anything. Everything was repurposed that was not eating.
Yeah.
And I have since found there are new people that did not have that, but they want to cook for themselves or their family. And they don't exactly know how to read a recipe. And, I totally sympathize with them, and I want them to be comfortable asking questions. I may take it for granted when somebody says, I need a cup of chopped nuts or a cup of nuts chopped. That's 2 different things.
Yes, it is.
But people don't know that.
Right.
And so, that's something that I would want to know if I didn't have the experience that I have now.
Yeah.
So I think that my community trusts me to answer their questions without judgment. And a lot of times I will get people looking for recipes, and that inspires me to put something else on my post or on my blog. There's something that people are looking for.
So what are, because, we always hear, ask your audience, engage with your audience. So how do you do that? And how do you do that in a way that gets you the best response that you need? Is it the comments on your blog posts? Is it, an email asking them to reply? Is it on social? Where do you find is the best place to get feedback from your readers? And how do you go about doing that?
I think it's going to be different for anyone according to their strengths. I do have a presence on social media, but I have to be honest, that isn't the first place that I show up.
Yeah.
I get a lot of questions in my comments on my blog posts, and I will take those questions and I answer them all personally. And I ask, do you understand this? Is there something else that I can help you with? I will take that information and I'll put it in the blog post because I always figure if this person didn't know that, I didn't make it clear to everyone.
Right. I
have a very healthy email list, and I get a lot of responses to my emails on that. I may feature, my latest email featured a pumpkin bread that I made with sourdough discard.
Okay.
It's not for everyone, but I have a real healthy presence of people that have started baking sourdough.
Yep.
And that means something to them.
Yeah.
And so they may respond with a question, or they may say, instead of pumpkin, can I make this? Can I do that? And that just inspires me. I just want to do it all. It's like, yes, we can do it with apples. Yes, you can add nuts. You can add raisins. And in my cooking self, I'm not afraid to try things. And I write them down as I make them. And you would laugh if you looked at my notes. is I'll just cross it down and put ick, or didn't work, or that's good, but. And I am married, and I have a wonderful husband that loves to eat. And
he's a taste tester for you, and he loves it, huh?
He is. And I have a brownies recipe on my site that I made over 6 times before I got it to where I was proud to share it. And he licked every bowl.
Every bowl. Oh, God bless him. He's taking one for the team. Oh,
yeah. So sometimes things work right away, and sometimes they don't. And unfortunately, I have tried some things that maybe I saw, and I just can't imagine how they worked. And so I want to anticipate whether, when I put a recipe out there, it's tried and it's true. And it may have been made 6 times before I can put it out there. And I still get people that they come back and they'll say, this didn't work for me. And, I feel bad about that, but it's just like, unless I'm there watching you, I can't exactly explain why it did not work for you, especially when I have, 15, 20 other people saying, I love this. This worked great for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you got 15, 20 people saying this did not work, then you have a problem. But if you've got a couple of people, you're going to be like, yeah, user error for sure.
And you just don't know, because what I have access to may not be the same thing that other people have access to. And, when you have a blog, it's all over the world.
Yeah.
And people speak differently, and they have access to different things.
Yeah.
So sometimes I can anticipate substituting and include those. Other times that'll come in a comment like, I don't have this. What else can I use?
Well, I love that. I've seen that bloggers will say, can you substitute applesauce? And they'll say, I haven't tried this, but readers have, and they said that it worked. And that's just additional information you get to add. Like, right? That's gold. That comment section on blog posts is just gold.
Absolutely.
It sounds like to get the information that you need to be able to, like, that's where they're telling you all of the ideas, right? And so they're like, oh, I tried it with, like you said, like, I tried this with chocolate chips and with nuts. And you're like, excellent. Now
I love that. Great idea. I'm going to try that. Next time I make this, I'm going to add this.
Yes, absolutely.
We all start from somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that you have a healthy email list, an engaged comment section, and that you respond to all of those comments, because that can be a little challenging. So that's great. But honestly, a hostess at heart, it's not surprising that you would do that.
Oh, thank you. And I love learning. I have so many cookbooks, and I I have a ton of these little Post-its.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll go through a recipe book, and I have all of these little tabs all over. And, I'll put a sticky in there that I want to make this, and I'm going to try this. And I've recently really gotten into making pasta. I have my husband's grandmother's pasta recipe, and she was from Italy. Well, my mother-in-law is going to be 100 years old. So that'll tell you how old her mother-in-law's recipe is.
Wow.
And it's fun, but we had the opportunity to go to Italy recently, and I took a pasta class. And it wasn't anything like hers, and I had a ball. And in this class, there was a young gal that was a sophomore in college. She says, I don't cook. I don't know how to cook. It was her parents. It was my husband and I. And we had the best time. And I mean, we had 3 different generations there.
That's really cool.
And it all worked together. And it was insight to me how, I mean, this young gal, she just mutilated an egg. It just cracked and went all over. And the instructor, he was just so cool. He's just like, that happens, and he cleans it up and gives her another egg to retry.
Oh, gosh.
And so first thing she thought is, oh my gosh, I cannot cook. And he's just like, oh, that happens to everybody. Try it again. And it worked. Yeah. And you could just see what that did for her.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And you're able to bring those experiences back to your blog and to your audience. And that's so wonderful. So other than, yourself 11 years ago, you don't need all the things. Get yourself in a community with like-minded people. What is something else that you would tell them?
Patience. You need patience, because like I was saying, when I look at my earlier recipes, I would post something February 1st and wonder why it didn't go viral for Valentine's Day. No. It may take off. They say, give it at least 2 months. That's still rare. Give it a year. And don't be afraid to come back and see what people are saying about it and to touch it again. I revise as many things as I put out there new. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, because I have been at this for such a long time, and ingredients change, processes change, your audience changes. The amount of people that are reading changes, and how they find you changes. Mm-hmm. And so I would have to say that to be patient, to listen to your community, draw on your experiences, and don't forget who's asking you what. And another thing is confidence. I was the first one to say, oh, somebody was doing this so much better than me, and I liked their voice. I wish that I spoke like that. Well, that spoke to me, maybe more my competitive nature, but it wasn't where I needed to be. I finally had to settle down, figure out what worked for me, and listen to what people were saying. I love to bake bread. And I think it shows, and I have a great community that likes to bake bread. As far as bread goes, it could be quick bread. Mm-hmm. It can be bread with yeast. It can be sourdough. That's 3 different audiences. And I have to figure out what resonates with who, and what do people need to know about it. So patience is a big thing. Once I did not go into debt as far as my blogging career. Love because that. There's a lot of situations out there that I get emails every day saying, I looked at your site and I can give you this much bigger audience.
Oh yeah, I get those too.
And they come all the time. Somebody's always trying to make money, and sometimes it's great. Mm-hmm. I use different plugins that are valuable to me. I've taken courses. I love photography. I did not start this knowing how to take a picture. It was on my phone, and it wasn't good. Yeah. And I used Vignette for everything. And I look back and it's like, I'm amazed anybody followed me, but
that was what we did back then.
That's what we did. And we didn't know how to edit things the way we did. Yeah. Well, I know bloggers that still only use their phone, and they're so good. You would never know it. Yeah. But it's things that they've learned. Just give yourself a break. You have to learn.
Yeah.
And I did not go into debt. When I was able to, I got on to a self-published website. And one of the first things that I did was I found somebody that helped me with the development side. I could spend with my free site, I could spend 2 days trying to figure something out.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of time. And once I was able to rely on somebody to do that for me, and it enabled me to do more of what I enjoyed.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. What are some other areas of your business you've hired out? So you started hiring a developer. What are some of those things that you have found that's worth investing in for you?
To me, I talked about some of the plugins that I use. I like analytics, and not everybody does. And that's something that I kind of take away from some of my corporate years. But so I rely on, in addition to the community, I rely on analytics to tell me what is resonating with people. One of the things that I do now is I also have someone that sometimes will remake some of my recipes for me. I get feedback from them. This is working for me. Make this for me and tell me what your experience is.
Oh, great.
And so that helps me be a little clearer with my audience. And I can only be in the kitchen so much.
Oh, yeah.
There's only so many hours in the day. If you're not cooking and you're not shooting, you're writing, you're editing photos. There's been times that I've relied on a recipe that I have a gal that sometimes will reshoot them for me. In the olden days, we didn't use process shots. And then for
I love you're like in the olden days, 2018.
Maybe.
It's true, though.
There was a period of time where everybody says, you have to have a video on everything you do. And I started hiring video out. And now, and I used to do that myself. You have to buy software in order to do that. It could take you all day to cook, all day to do process shots, another whole day to do your video. Now I only do video if it's something where I really feel like it would add to a post. I don't do a video to put together a 4-ingredient salad when one of the ingredients is Cool Whip. It's a great recipe for potlucks, but you don't need a video to put it together. I'll still show you how I put it in a bowl, what folding might mean, something like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need a video.
Right.
So trends come and go, and you need to evaluate what people are looking for and what makes sense to you.
Yeah. And like you said, what's worth investing in, sourdough bread. Yeah. People are going to need to see that, right? They're going to need to see how you knead it and what it's supposed to look like. And if it's overproofed, but you're right. The simple ones, I can understand that. Not even on social media. You don't do it for reels or anything like that.
I really don't. Sometimes I will put my videos on social media like Facebook or Instagram, and I love watching reels, on folding clothes and pet stuff and all kinds of things. Yeah. But that's not where I put most of my energy. I could probably hire that out. There's aspects of social media that I do get help with now. And like I said, it's only because you can only be so many places at once before you burn out and you quit. Yeah. And I've seen that happen. It's some very talented people, you just can't do anything and you can't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah.
You can only do what you can do.
Yeah. And that's that decision you make to say, I am not going to do this. Like, I don't have the capacity. If, you have to weigh your time investment, you have to weigh the financial investment, with the return to see if that's something that you really should be investing in. And everybody, it's is different. With all the bloggers I've talked to, there are certain things that, yes, need to be, that you have to do, right? But everybody also, there's no really one size fits all, is what I'm hearing you say. And the things that you've learned is just to kind of be true to you.
And you never know what the other person's story is.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, you may just look extremely successful to me. And maybe you are, maybe you're not. But what works for you may not work for me. And the thing that works for me now is balance, knowing what I love. What I love is conveyed to my people. That's what they get. Before I show up, I've usually had like a healthy breakfast. I've gotten a workout in. Maybe I had a deadline that I needed to do something. So I got up early and I started here, and then I get that done. I stop, and then I go outside. I take a break. And sometimes I can just work all day long.
Yeah.
Other days it's like by 11 o'clock, it's like, I am just not feeling this today. I need to step back.
Yeah.
So know your strengths and take care of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like it took you a while to get there, though.
Because I am competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, such and such made this look so easy, and I just love everything they did. And what worked for them would kill me.
Yeah. And here's the thing is comparison. And you're so right of not knowing the other story. Here's the thing. You don't know what that cost them.
No.
Time. You don't know the sacrifice for that. And so you can look at that, but you just have to remember that there was a cost to that.
Exactly.
And that's why you have to know where you're going to define success, how you're going to define success for you, and stop looking at other people, because you don't know the cost.
And you have different strengths.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
I know people that can, put a recipe together and get it out all on the same day.
Yep.
I need more time than that. And I recognize that. And before I put something out, it's got to work. That's my values.
Well,
so you gotta have your own values.
Yeah, for sure. For every blogger, that's your bread and butter.
Right.
They're coming because they trust you. And so for you, that's probably the single most important thing.
For me, it is
having that recipe that works, so they can come and they know they're going to get what they need.
Right.
And so that's, I think if you're a photographer listening, if you are a food blogger listening, you cannot compromise on the integrity of a recipe.
And, even if you're not in a food blog situation, I love to travel. And I have a travel blog that I love reading because it just opens me up to ideas that I never thought of. And the same thing with food. I don't jump on the fad that's, that doesn't speak to me right now. Some people do, and it works for them.
Yeah.
It's find your niche, and you'll find your community. You'll find somebody that's for them. Don't think that, there's people come and going all the time, and you may be a new blogger, just do what's right for you and stay with it as long as you enjoy it.
Yeah.
If it comes to be work, or it's something you don't enjoy, or you need help, don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
We aren't all born knowing everything. Everybody's got a job, even if it isn't blogging. You have to learn. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Over the last few years, there have been lots of ups and downs with food blogging. What would you tell yourself starting out, knowing that there's ups and downs? What would you tell yourself who's just starting out of how to approach those and how to navigate those ups and downs?
I think one of the most important thing is just open up a Microsoft document or get out a legal pad and a pencil and write why do you want to do this thing?
Mhm.
What is in it for you? What do you think you can deliver? Who are you talking to? It's just like when you get together with a friend, what do you talk about? What do you enjoy about them? Even though this is an online thing, I have people that I've known for close to 10 years, and we've gotten together and we have the same rapport.
Yep.
And even people that I haven't met, it might sound weird that that you know them,
Oh yeah.
but it's kind of like talking on the phone. There's people that you can really resonate with, people that you can ask questions for. And, in this group of like-minded bloggers, I'm not afraid to say, this isn't working for me. What have you heard? What's new? Because there's always new things.
Mhm.
And we can share experiences. They can give me advice. Maybe it's something I have advice with.
Mhm.
And so just don't think you have to know it all today.
Yeah.
We're learning every day. I'm learning every day.
Yeah. So your advice would be to navigate ups and downs with community and with people.
Yes.
They're
Don't
inevitable, right?
criticize yourself if you don't know everything today.
Yeah.
I've learned something today that that'll make me better, or I will learn something that didn't work for other people that I didn't have to worry about it because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Or I will stop doing it because it's not working, and this is why.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, with SEO and trying to learn what there is about that, the analytics, the photography. There's a lot of people that make it look really, really easy, but it's a job.
Yeah.
And you can only do so much. You might only enjoy so much, but go at your own pace.
Mm-hmm.
And don't feel like you have to know everything right now.
Yeah. And don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up in the lows. I think when you go through every market, every industry goes through highs and lows.
Oh, yes.
And so whenever it's a low, I think that's whenever you learn the most.
Yeah.
It's whenever you come together with community even more. It strengthens you in so many ways, and it can be really easy to give up. But I love how you even said in the very beginning that you didn't go into debt. And I think that as business owners, I understand the importance of spending money to make money, but you also need to make sure that you are setting yourself up well, because when it's not if hard times come, it's like when it comes, you're ready and you're prepared for that. And I think that's just being a responsible business owner, is that you're prepared for really anything.
And there were people that wanted so badly to leave their day jobs and to make blogging work. It may take a while. And you may hear that if you do this, you can leave that other job and this is going to work for you. Know what your own safety net is.
Yeah.
I would never have quit my day job to start where I was, because I would have been hungry. It took, it took a while to gain momentum.
Yeah.
And some people gain momentum quicker than others, but I was comfortable having a safety net, not being in debt and not relying solely on this for my family's income. Mm-hmm. And I know that that's a goal for a lot of people. And I hope that it happens for those people, that that's what they truly like. Yeah. And if they really enjoy it and things come to them, it'll probably come to them quicker than it came to me. Some people may want to treat it just a little bit more as something that they enjoy doing outside of, their other work. Mm-hmm. Or maybe that's something they just want to tinker with. Have your own goals. And like I said, don't compare, don't become desperate. If something makes sense and you can't afford it right now, keep it on the radar. And ask. One of the things I learned about blogging is people help you. Other bloggers help you. When I was in the corporate world, it was so competitive, and they didn't want to share information because, if they spread the information out, somebody might step on them,
Oh, yeah. You're climbing that ladder, right? And
that's still a thing. But my experience blogging hasn't been that way.
That's wonderful.
There's so many people that knew so much more than me when I started. And I've found people in the community that had been at it longer. I could ask a question and they would answer me and tell me what works for them, what I might try. And so I really encourage people to do that. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to ask a question. You're not going to look stupid. You're not going to give away, any secrets, just go for it and find what you love.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Julie. Thank you so much for sharing everything with us, going back and giving advice to yourself, just starting out, to make sure you have community and make sure you know who you're talking to, of finding the balance and knowing what it is that you're going after, and, not comparing yourself to other people. And I mean, this whole episode was just gold. And I loved hearing your heart behind it and how much you've learned and you have grown as a food blogger. And just as we leave, can you give a piece of advice? Do you have any last advice that you want to share with people who are on a blogging journey, or maybe they are working for food bloggers? We've got a lot of photographers in our community, obviously, and so what advice do you have for them?
One thing I didn't mention is there's a lot of education for free. Mm-hmm. Podcasts. I listen to this podcast. I listen to other podcasts.
Yeah.
I have the benefit of hearing other people ask questions that I didn't even know to answer.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay for advice. You don't have to, feel bad asking for advice. Do what you love and do what speaks to you, and it'll come.
Yeah.
It will.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so glad that you have found the Pretty Focused podcast so helpful. Oh. And now you're sitting here sharing all of your advice and your wisdom with everybody, answering all the questions that they probably didn't even know to ask, right?
We always try to play it forward.
Yeah.
And that's the community that we have, and that's why I love it. Even if I'm not writing, I can be visiting with some of these people that I've met and that have turned into some of my best friends, laughing about what our kids are doing, or,
It's the best.
So it is the best.
Completely unexpected.
Yeah.
There's so many unexpected treasures when you start something new or you enter into new seasons. Is something I'm learning the older that I get, is that every season, every chapter comes with just sweet treasures. And it sounds like this community that you have was not something, whenever you hit publish on that first blog post, that you expected, right? And how beautiful is that? Yeah. Yeah. So awesome. I love that. Yeah. So, Julie, thank you so much for being with us, you guys. I really hope that you love this episode of the podcast. Leave us a show note, give us a rating, send us fan mail. So we love hearing from you. And I know Julie would love hearing from you as well. And Julie, we're going to put your blog and ways that they can connect with you in the show notes, so you can go follow, get her sourdough recipes. She's a sourdough queen, and she will not be disappointed. She will host you well. You can be sure of that. All right, you guys, thank you so much. And we'll see you back next time for another episode of the Pretty Focused podcast.
Thank you.